Hi, everybody. It occurs to me that your annotated bibliography, which is a major kind of culminating activity for the class, is due on Sunday night, midnight. So I know you've been working on that. I started getting some questions about it in email and through the class. So what I wanted to do is go over the guidelines with you. It's that important. And so if you pull up the assignment itself, it says Bibliography Guidelines and Rubric. I want you to have a look at that with me. I'm going to be looking at the notes here instead of at the camera, so that's what that's about. And I'm just going to start going through this with you and talking about it. In this assignment, select 5 sources to read. That's a good number. If you've selected them, both the previous articles, the quant and the qual, you should have 2 of them. You can reuse those. You should. Summarize, describe how that article adds to your area of interest in research. It's all going to come together now. 3 of these sources must be published in peer-reviewed journal articles. Your quant and qual should have come from those. We worked on getting you some peer-reviewed articles. 2 may be from professional organizations, websites, books, and so forth. One of you sent me submitted first a study that was from a professional website. Excuse me. And although that would not work for the previous assignment, it could count as one of these. Use APA citation style. All articles must be published in 2010 or later, and that is even stretching it out a little bit farther. Research that's older than 10 years old most times is outdated. Font. These articles should be related to your interest in some way. The purpose of this assignment is for you to get more acquainted with the literature available in your topic of interest. If you never write a piece of research, if you never write an article or a publication for a professional organization, the goal at the master's level is to make you good consumers of research. As practitioners, you want to know what's reliable research. You want to know what's trustworthy for you to look at for your own practice or for topics that are important to you as a teacher. So you want this class, part of that is preparing you to be consumers of research. And I think you're getting there as we go through the class. For each entry, use the annotated bibliography template on Blackboard to include the full citation as well as these components. Indicate the content or scope of the text. I would say summary. What is it about? What all does it cover? If this is about literacy in kindergartners, what about that? It's just saying it's about literacy for kindergartners. What is that topic about? Because research articles should not be broad unless they are a meta review, an article that's peer reviewed that is a review of the literature. And one of you submitted that article to me from a peer reviewed journal, but it was a list of basically it was an extended peer review annotated bibliography. That is appropriate for this assignment. So you already have that, and it was a good one. So outline the main arguments. Again, you're outlining. You're basically going to be outlining the research question, the problem, the findings. The argument is not the methodology, and it's not the lit review section of these articles. Identify any conclusions made by the article. You can find this usually in the abstract. If it's a good abstract, you can usually find it in that first section. It's going to tell you what the findings are going to be, and then there should be a discussion section that talks about the findings, and then sometimes there's a findings section, and so there should not be any doubt if you can find the problem, the research problem, or the questions. finding the answer to those is the findings. And discuss the relevance or usefulness of this text for your research topic of interest. Sometimes you find something that's not as relevant. If you can make it work for your topic, if you can tell when you find an article that's just like, I need this. You can tell. Sometimes not so much. And so you want to find the ones that are really, really relevant to your topic. Don't spend your time working on doing this bibliography entry for one that is like, and here's the thing about doing research, and you probably remember this from in high school when you had to do a research paper. You will spend a lot of time, time and energy finding resources, and you want to use it all, and then you just got to throw some of it out, and that hurts because you've worked so hard. But they're not going to fit, so don't spend your time and energy working it up if it doesn't. On the guidelines, it says nice to have if they're relevant. Research methods, if applicable, special features of the text that were unique and helpful, like a chart or graph or a table, and state the strengths and limitations of the text as applicable. To me, if we were doing this to prepare for a research paper, you'd include this because the point of this bibliography is that you can use it when you start putting it all together. So you want to know those things. You want to go beyond the first four of, well, how is this relevant and what's it about? So you want to have something about the parts of the research design. And if you look, numbers 1 through 7 are from the template of the article reviews that you've done previously. You see how it's just always connected. That's research. Tips for creating your annotated bibliography. Choose your sources, ! Look for sources of research that may contain useful information and ideas on your topic. We've discussed that. Review the items you've collected. Read the abstracts and or skim. A good abstract will tell you if this is going to be for you. And select the 5 you think are most relevant to your area of interest. Now, some of you have asked me, can you preview these articles for me? I'm going to challenge you to do that previewing yourself based on this recording and those guidelines and what you learned from the previous 2 article reviews. That request prompted me to do this video for you because I want you to be able to choose with confidence. I have a topic. I'm looking for academic research, peer-reviewed journal articles. When I find them, and you're going to use Google Scholar, you're going to search, you're going to go through existing bibliographies. Is it relevant to my topic that I'm going to write about? And sometimes they're not. By the way, if you find one you know is relevant to your topic, say it's from one of your article reviews, do go to the bibliography. Reading the bibliographies of journal articles and in books is a very nerdy thing to do for fun, but it's the place you can find where that author went to get the literature. What did that author refer to, reference, and use in writing her paper, his paper? So start with the bibliography. Turn on over there and see what they use, and you'll find some things that you can use as well. And you know by now how to choose to see if the source is a peer-reviewed journal. The words journal of are your big clues there. Look it up and see, and go click on the journal and about this journal, and it'll tell you. Stay away, if you can, from journals that are pay to play, and some of them are, and some books are pay to play. If I pay a fee, then they will publish me. More and more are getting that way, so you're going to run into them. But try and find the old old faithfuls, the old reliable ones that are not, if you pay us, we will publish. Books, textbooks are a little bit lower level. They're a lot lower level. So how do you know if a book is applicable? Well, it's if you look it up, and that's including on Amazon, you can see if it's just a popular book or if it's academically oriented, if it comes from an academic press. Books can count if they're research, like your textbook. Creswell has written several books, and if you're citing a source for your methodology, Creswell is an academic book. Okay. And then write the annotation. So let's go through this a little bit carefully. Read each article carefully. Yes, you have to read the 20 to 30 page article, and that's usually the length of them. Quant can be a little bit shorter. Make notes of the 7 elements to include in the annotation. Well, they say you got to do the first 4 at the top of the page, and then nice to have 7, but it says make note of the 7 elements. So let's strive to include them. We encourage you to pay attention to these things. The author's theoretical approach. The theoretical approach is discussed early in the article, and it's supported by the literature that the author includes. If you're looking at literacy, you'll be able to tell which literacy theory, literacy subset of the field that person is writing from. And I'm not a literacy person, but for example, I'll give you a good example from a blast from the past. There was a whole debate for decades of whole language or phonics. Okay? And if you found an article, you would know beyond a shadow of a doubt if that article, which one of those theoretical frameworks the author was using. So that's a really good example. We'll move on from there. Which parts of the topic are covered? And the main points are findings and the author's position or argument. By doing this in your previous article reviews, this is what you did. How is this different from an article review? The article review took you in more depth. An annotated bibliography entry will be brief. Back in the day, when I was in high school and the Earth's crust was still cooling, we would put our annotated bibliography, on note cards. And we would literally get on the floor, spread them out, and put them in related sections. And that's when we'd toss the ones. It was very hard to toss them. But they will fit on a note card, in other words. They're not those long reviews. But you want to make sure you get all these parts because, again, what is this? What is an annotated bibliography from? For when I'm writing my paper and I'm doing my literature review, and my chapter 1, where I'm talking about my framework, I can cut and paste my annotation. That's why it needs to be in my language. That's why I need to discuss it, because I want to be able to just cut and paste it when I'm writing my research paper. That's the point of these. Also, as you write the annotation, record evaluations in your notes and consider these questions. How and how effectively does this source address your topic? How is this relevant to what you're going to do? Does it cover your topic thoroughly or only one aspect of it? Either way is okay. Do the research methods seem appropriate? Now, after having gone through the designs, after having seen some of your classmates' presentations and having access to all the Pearson PowerPoints, you should be able to know what the research designs are. Does the argument seem reasonable? You should be able to spot that. If the article answers the research questions, and if this is peer-reviewed, then you know that those questions have been vetted, that the methodology has been vetted. See, they've done that for you if it's peer-reviewed. And so, does it seem reasonable to you? And also, you can, spend some time looking at the limitations and implications and see, what does this author say that it was limited in this? What did they say they didn't get around to doing? And where does it stand in relation to other studies? Unless it's some sort of outlier, I would say, and the author has used the literature. The whole point of doing a research article is to kind of pull yours into, and I'm talking about an academic author, is to pull your research into the field, to find gaps in the field, or to find something you'd want to extend in the field, and do that through your own work. So they ought to be relevant. If it's not, it would be interesting to know why not. Write the citation in APA. They give you some examples of that. And then write the annotation itself. Be concise. Each annotation should not extend beyond one paragraph. Why is that? So that you can cut and paste that paragraph. You'll have one. You don't want pages and pages of one source if you're going to include 5 excuse me, in your paper. The summary itself should be a brief outline of arguments and main ideas. Only mention details that are significant or relevant, and only when necessary. So this is broad, but if there's something that is just central to it, discuss it. In-text citations would usually only be necessary for quotations or to draw attention to information from specific pages. Do your best to avoid these. This is a summary. Avoid direct quotes. Now, I encouraged you to use quotes throughout in your previous activities. Always use the quotes so we'll know, all right, where are you getting that to support your argument. Quotes should be used to support your argument. Okay? But in the annotated bibliography, and please pay attention to this if nothing else, you don't need to use quotations. You are summarizing it, meeting these points that we've talked about in your words. Now, when you go back to write your article, sure, go back, you'll have your note cards, you'll have this annotated bibliography, and you'll know where to go from it and put your quotations. One of the things that I do is I always start a Word document, and when I see something, of course, I do qualitative. When I see a quotation that is powerful to me and that strikes me, I'll go ahead and write it down. I'll go ahead and type it out on my Word document, and then later on I'll come back and put it in. But that fits really well with the kind of research that I do, which is narrative and autobiographical. So by all means do that for a paper later on. But in this is, you're summarizing this article to include, in theory, in a paper on this topic, and you're showing that the literature in the field has said this is important because here's some research on it that is similar to my topic. That is the whole point of this in a nutshell. Okay. Write in full sentences using academic vocabulary. This is formal writing. The rubric follows along with all these guidelines. Citations, content and scope, the main argument, conclusions, and relevant to your own interest and topic. And then there is a section that says not scored, but acceptable to be included, as these add to the usefulness of the annotated bibliography. And that's the section that this leaves out, that you have used in your article reviews on methods, strengths, and the limitations. In the annotated bibliography, unless methodology is truly important to the findings, not just how we got the findings, it's not necessary to include these in an annotated bibliography. And then finally, so that's the guidelines and the rubric. Finally, I want to encourage you again about AI and ChatGPT. I'm really pleased with my own kind of approach of, I use it, I know you use it, and your students are using it, unless you're in early childhood, and they will be soon enough, right? So I think as we're learning to be good consumers of academic research, we are also learning to be good consumers and good analysts of artificial intelligence. It's here, so let's learn how to use it. So what this means is, people ask, as an instructor, can I tell when AI is being used? Most of the time, I really can, and I don't. I'm not knocking points for it. Uh, you need to learn how to recognize it, and you need to learn what in this paragraph, for example, that chat helped me construct. How does that sound different from how I would write it? And I don't just mean using colloquialisms or using casual language. Notice the repetitions there. Notice the lack of specificity that ChatGPT generates you. And this is going to get better and better as the development of it goes on. But for right now, use what it has helped you construct and put that in your own words. Anything is easier than starting from a blank page. But no, there is research now coming out that says if we don't use this brain muscle, we're going to start losing some of the capabilities. So keep yourself sharp in your creativity and your inventiveness, and don't let ChatGPT do it all for you. All that to say, these are paragraphs. These are not, they're not discussion board entries. They're paragraphs of summary of the things that we've gone over. It would be easy to have chat do all of it for you. But as with every assignment that we've done, I want, and I will be listening for your voice in your responses. And some of you have been very, very good at that. How are you going to be professional, and also let me hear your voice, that you're there? That's your challenge. And so I'm going to really be reading these carefully to make sure that I can hear you. I feel like I know your voices by this time. And so, and this is no knock on your professionalism, when you give me something that sounds machine generated, I can tell the difference. So make it to where it's less obvious to detect, right? And I'm not trying to detect in terms of catching anything. It's just I need for you to be in it, because why? As you go on through your careers, through your academic careers, that's going to be key. Sure, anything can generate, but where are you in it? You want to stay in the game. All right, that's enough of that. If you have any questions after this, let me know. Again, I want to challenge you to find your own 5 articles. You should, if we did not have a problem with your previous 2, you should have 2 already. So I look forward to reading these, and I'm really pleased with the work that you're doing, and I thank you for grappling with the content, doing all your readings and watchings. And we're coming down to the wire on it, and that's exciting. But you've come down to the wire of the end of the semester before, and it can be some rough, if gratifying waters. So take care, everybody. It's been good talking to you.